Hey guys. So it's mid-November and I'm walking around in the morning, everything's shut. It's 10 a.m. in the morning. The country is pretty heavily restricted now in terms of being able to go to restaurants and cafes and gyms. That's all shut. Malls are closed. Everything's quiet and boarded up. A lot of people staying at home. There's a lot of inactivity in the streets. It's much quieter, and obviously a lot of the things that we used to be able to do that we loved doing, we're no longer able to do with as much freedom. Obviously we still have some freedoms, and we can thank the internet for a lot of our freedom at the moment, but that just goes to show how kind of close we are to a real sense of isolation, perhaps, and all the dark places that we could go. But I wanted to talk here on a lighter note. Let's try and make light of this in the best way that we can. And I know that a lot of you are probably feeling frustrated and angry and fed up and tired of this lockdown stuff, depending on where you are. I certainly have been. It can be claustrophobic, looking around and thinking, is this gonna end, and why is this happening, and is this even a thing, and who do I trust? Sometimes I'm having trouble trusting the news, and you hear different opinions from different angles, and it can be overwhelming and confusing. It's a very easy time to be swallowed up by uncertainty and the negative emotions that are associated with uncertainty and fear and worry about our futures, worrying about our jobs and money coming in, all that stuff. It's a testing time. So I wanted to talk on that, just to speak on the frustration aspect of this whole lockdown thing, for those of you who are struggling. Many of you aren't. Many of you, like my mum, for example, it's not better for her, but she's pretty happy with it because it gives her an excuse to stay at home and relax and watch TV and read and that kind of stuff. So, all right for some. But for many of us, we feel that constriction. It feels almost oppressive. We've got what looks like kind of draconian rules put on us, and we aren't able to have that freedom that we want, especially for the younger ones. We want to get out, see our friends, travel, that kind of stuff, and we can't do that, so it can be very frustrating. So I've spoken for nearly 3 minutes on the frustrations of it. Let's see if we can turn it around and see if there's anything that we can pull out of this to help us. Now, if you're feeling angry, if you're frustrated, first thing to realize is that it doesn't help to get angry consistently over the same thoughts that are coming to mind. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help anyone around you. It just creates your own ongoing suffering. Now, it's okay, I believe, to let it out occasionally, like to feel the hit of annoyance and to scream a little bit, to shout, go for a run, kind of accept that you're angry and do something with that anger. But if it repeatedly comes up and you're repeatedly fed up, every morning you wake up and it's a whole new reset on your frustration, that's not a good place to be, because you'll end up going down avenues that are not helpful for you or anyone else. Could be whatever it is. I'm not going to go there. But what we need to do then is understand the nature of acceptance and what we can control, what we can't control. So this is going back to the Stoic philosophy on focusing on the things you can change, focusing on the things you do have power over. And for a lot of us, there are many things now in our lives that we are seeing we don't have control over. And yes, to a degree, you can go out there and protest and that kind of stuff, but is even that going to do much? There's very few. There's a lot that we're seeing that we cannot control, that many of us are getting stressed around. Like we're resisting the reality, and it is causing us stress because we can't see a change. We aren't able to control things. We aren't able to do anything. We feel powerless. And of course that creates a frustration and anger because we can't change. And what good does that do? What we need from you right now, like we do all year round is your aliveness, your passion, your interest, and your creativity. And that's not going to come out of anger. You might get little bursts of inspiration from an angry thought, but to kind of be enmeshed in it over time is not going to be very helpful. So realize what you can control, what you can't control, and understand that it's not a cowardly act to let go of the things you cannot control. You're not a lesser man by relinquishing your grip on things you cannot change. In fact, you are more of a man, you are more of a human by understanding that you get more power by redirecting your attention to things you can do something about. So right now, give that a thought. What can you do something about? This doesn't necessarily mean going out there and changing the world and writing letters to people. I mean, it might, depending on what your goals are. But right now, could it be that the best place and the most fruitful place for you to be focusing is on your own skill development, your own mastery of a craft, your own preparedness, focusing on your own home, your own environment, as opposed to trying to change how things are outside. Like, what can you do at home? Can you, very Jordan Peterson-esque, clean up your room? That's a place to start, but I'm not going to be here to patronize you into cleaning up your room. I'm saying that there are things that we can change that will give us fulfillment in the moment right here that we can do something about. Can you do what I do, which is to sit on park benches and make videos about what's happening around me? Create a bank of material and content that builds up your brand, that brings in viewers, that props up your business, that gets you ready for when things do change. So can we go a step further than even that? So accepting how things are, accepting that you can't change the things you can't change, redirecting your attention to things you can control, and then taking it up a level, which is to say, how could this lockdown, how could this challenging year be seen as one of the best things that could have ever happened to you? What we really need to do is find a way to turn this around into not only a positive, but a God's end, a God's gift. That's how we can start breaking down the frustration around what's happening, is to actually see it in an entirely different light. Not a light that is to be resisted and to be angered over, but a way of seeing things that actually enlivens you and empowers you and makes you think this is good. This is good for now. I mean, I'm not saying that the lockdown is good. I'm not saying that things that have happened are necessarily the right moves, but I'm saying that this is how things are. And in that sense, everything is as it should be, because it's just reality. Everything is as it should be. Everything is, in that sense, even perfect. The way things are perfect for you. How might things change? How might you feel differently if you knew that the way things were right now was perfect for you? If things were ideal, and things were a gift, and the lockdown was the best thing that could have happened to you, how might that be? Being challenged, being tested day in, day out, I can tell you, hurts, but I know that I am strengthening as a result. And you're at risk of losing mental strength, of course. You have a choice. You can either take the hit and be the victim and be bowled over by it and lose your footing and kind of go down the rabbit hole of victim mentality, cyclical thinking and rumination and depression. But you can also take the other route, which is to see how this is giving you something. And you have to be resourceful around how you think in that sense. You have to be creative. But there is always a way to see everything, no matter how ugly, in a positive light. It's pushing you somewhere. It is giving you something. It's challenging you in a way that could be strengthening you or could be weakening you. Which one do you choose? You have that choice, to be strengthened or to be weakened. It's really up to you. It isn't anything to do with the circumstance, because as I have said in other videos, there is always going to be something that you disagree with, that you don't like, that's happening in the world. No matter what the situation is, no matter what the politics is, no matter what how many viruses are floating around, there's always going to be a challenge. So it doesn't matter so much what the circumstances, it matters how you interpret it, how you frame it. So give it some thought. I don't know what your individual situation is and what opportunities you have, but you might want to list it out. Like, get back to the pen and paper, get a cup of tea out, a cup of coffee, and really list it out. Like, don't just relegate this to the back of your mind and forget about it. Make a list of all the ways that this is testing you and challenging you and making you better, and can you see it as a kind of crucible for your success? Like in science, they had these crucibles where you put chemicals into them, and because it was a sort of confined space, it meant that more reactions took place, chemicals reacting with one another, atoms hitting each other. So when there is restriction, when there is lockdown, could more creativity come out of that? Could more ideas clash in a healthy, positive way, in a good direction? Maybe you get more inventive. Maybe things are innovated as a result of this. What opportunities are there for you? And I wish that things were a different way, or I have been wishing, and all that wishing has not helped. It's made me suffer. I've wished that I've been able to take my classes out of Zoom and into a physical space, and develop my social confidence and public speaking and that kind of stuff in a physical place, and meet more people, and I need to do that for my business. Everything instead has had to be done through the internet, which has made me resourceful in a new way. It's made me learn and adapt in different ways, and it's made me at least become much more skilled, much more adept at using the internet to grow my business, which is potentially a very good skill that I'm developing, given how things might change in the future. When things go back to normal, at least I'll have this to kind of go back on, and if another issue was to befall the world, then I would have that skill to fall back on. So give it some thought. I don't want to go on too much longer on this. I think you get the point. See how you can turn this into a positive. And this isn't just like positive thinking and like yay and covering over what's crap and being deluded. This is literally interpreting things in a way that genuinely gives you strength, that genuinely can give to you rather than take from you, and you have the power to do that. Over to you guys. See you in the next video.